Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm actually going to be doing a solo episode to kick off season 2. If you don't know me, my name is Alexandria Ott. I'm the founder of Chrome City Creative Studio, the co-founder of the Blank Table Underground Dinner series, and I also have this wonderful podcast called Wild and Wise. For those of you who don't know, I am both wild and wise. I had my wild days in my past and the wisdom of what I'm learning today in my career as a 38-year-old business owner, creative mom. And I'm really seeking to connect with people, as we all are, on what makes them tick, what makes them feel alive, what are their wild dreams, and what is their grounded wisdom from that. Because I think such a big part of this podcast that I mentioned it last season is that I always want to feel alive. And I know not all parts of life are going to feel that way, but I'm not subscribing to the idea that once you get married and have kids or you settle into your career, that you're somehow settled. And I think on today's episode, I just kind of want to talk through, for me personally, what it means to feel alive and wild. I think I've been learning a lot, especially over the last few months, about myself, my body, my needs, my mind, my mental health. And so I'm just navigating these ways that make me feel most alive. And there's a few of them. So, for one, working with wildly creative people is one of the greatest ways that I feel alive. I work with two of the city's most prolific designers on their projects for their studios, but then I also work on their baby, their project, their legacy project, which is a restaurant that they're opening in La Jolla next year. And for so much of my life, I worked in the hospitality industry with restaurants, with chefs, with owners, and then it started to bleed into working with the designers. And it's something I really loved because it was such a different world. So the fact that here today at 38 years old, having owned my agency for 10 years, I get to work with San Diego's most prolific designers on their first restaurant feels 10 out of 10. And it's not only in sort of the accolades of who they are, because they're incredible and anybody would feel wildly lucky to work with them, but it's also, for me, most importantly, the way that they think and how big they think. I was just watching something the other day that said, in fact, you are not the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are, in fact, the sum of the 5 people that you either are mentored by or lean on, because the gratitude or gravity of the way that they think allows you to do the same. And if you're relying on people who think small or are afraid of change for advice, and you're somebody who wants to dream big, you'll really never get anywhere. And so much of my own yearning in my life is for bigger things, it's for more. And it's something I have to check, because at this current state, I live in such a beautiful old home that I love so much on a canyon, and it's perfect. We don't need anything bigger. This is beautiful. And so I think often when I think I want more, I want bigger, I sometimes mistake that for things. And I think what I've really been reflecting on is it's ideas. It's the inception of something bigger, the way that we can move the community of San Diego into, say, trying new types of food or approaching craft cocktails in a new way or understanding design with new eyes. And I feel like the universe this year in 2024 has thoroughly allowed me to be surrounded by so many creatives. It's given me opportunities to speak to crowds about creativity. I was lucky enough to host the World Design Capital closing party with San Diego Design Week and be their keynote speaker, an honor that I will never stop being grateful for. And the types of people in that room were profound. We had poets, we had designers, we had architects, we had museum curators, we had gallerists. And to me, to be around people at the forefront of having wild imagination and wild creativity and being able to put that into movement and existence, not just having the ideas, but actually making them come to life, to me is one of the most impressive and beautiful parts of life. I think something I'm really proud of about myself is that if I have an idea and I want to see or create something and make it happen, I almost always do. And if I don't, it's because we found a different way to approach it or a different solution for maybe the problem that was looming in my head. And I think that as a creative, as a business owner, my mind is constantly thinking about how things can be better, how they can be different. And it's no pressure that anybody's giving me except myself. I sort of have this deep knowing that I was put on this earth to push boundaries, and I was put on this earth to be responsible for creating change. And it could be small change or big change. It could be societal change, or it could be, you know, a change in the way that maybe we talk to each other or the way that we look at ourselves as women. And so I'm really redefining success in my life right now. I think for so long I dreamt of opening my own agency, and then that happened. And then I was desirous of a certain type of client. And then I became a mother. And the success of a mother to me was creating a safe space for my kids to be able to feel like they can tell me anything. And I'm still working on that because there's the balance of being strict and having boundaries and rules and all of that. But my definition of success has really evolved. And I think that what it looks like to me right now is the freedom to choose the clients that I want to work with, the freedom to take my daughter to ballet on Friday mornings and do some work and then spend the afternoon with my kids. The freedom to work hard enough to have a babysitter on Thursday nights so that my partner and I can go out on dates and explore the city and be with one another. The freedom to have a small team. I mean, that is a choice that I've made, and it's created such an incredible freedom where the three of us really work so well together. I was just telling them that I feel like this trio's work chemistry is the best I've had in 10 years. We each really stay in our own lane. One, myself, is really partnerships, relationships, big thinking, strategic plans. And then another is like project management, seeing all of those small things through, making sure no stone is left unturned. And we all need someone like her. She is just the light of my life. And then our final piece to our puzzle at the moment is somebody who is just incredible with design and social media and storytelling. And to me, we can all go into our own little cubbies. We've changed up the work environment. We were working in an amazing office, but unfortunately there was just a lot of, if I'm just totally frank, drug addicts on the street using, and it just became a little bit unsafe in that neighborhood for us. But what I didn't realize, and this is such a big part of life, is our shift from working every single day in the office together to working 2 days a week together, and having 3 days to work from home has just given us the space to like reimagine the business and reimagine the podcast and reimagine the dinner. And what's really interesting is we've now been out for about 6 months, and I swore up and down that by January we would be back in an office because I don't really like to work from home. I like to get dressed up. I like to bring my coffee. I like to sit down at my desk that's separate from my home. But when we do come together and when I look at what is ahead of us in 2025, I can see that the space that we've given, the ideas, has allowed us to flourish in ways that I couldn't imagine, and therefore shifted my understanding of success. And so I think of the evolving definition of success as, in the workplace and in business, also allowing your team to do what they're best at, giving them support for what they need, encouraging them to really shine a light on their incredible talents. But then also on the flip side, as a boss, to be extraordinarily clear with your vision, to be part of the team and roll up your sleeves, which I always have been, and to be able to guide them both as a woman leading two young women, also in the creative vision, the creative solutions, the way that I've had enough life experience to know that there's probably 6 other options of ways that we can fix this. And I remember what it's like to be young and to think, oh my God, I fucked up, or oh my God, this isn't working. I don't know what to have that tool belt built in the way that somebody that, like myself, 10 years, 15, 20 years later, has been able to acquire the tools to be able to rest and settle into a knowing that it always works out, and that we're so deep into the lifespan of the agency that nothing can go horribly wrong, that everything is a redirection. And so yeah, I'm just really kind of able to create fearlessly right now. And that's also very scary. I think that I've built and built and built and then reassessed. And now I'm in this really beautiful place where, I'm really wanting to push the boundaries with this podcast. And while we're new and we are, still gaining followers and gaining new amazing guests and reevaluating the design and the look and the feel and the vibe and the narrative around it, I'm absolutely certain that tough conversations need to be had, that important conversations need to be had, and they're being had all over the world. I'm obviously not the first person to ever do this, but I believe so deeply in using my voice to talk and interview other people to shine a light on who they are and what they do and what makes them special, or how they see life, or how they approach family. And I feel really sort of fearless in talking to people and being able to have a platform to share their stories. I feel fearless in the work that we're doing with the blank table today. I can say that I feel fearless. About a month or two ago, I just have to say that my burnout was a 10 out of 10. And I just thought, I can't go on with doing these pop-up dinners. For those of you that don't know, I started an underground dinner series called The Blank Table about 6 years ago when I moved back to San Diego from Chicago. I'm sort of yearning to connect with community and create culinary experiences that also had a really deep ties to the curatorial aspects of those experiences. And they were fun and they were amazing. Never made a dollar, like just hope to break even, oftentimes lost money. But as we've refined the vision and made mistakes and learned from, everything from the perfect and right partnerships to working with the right chefs to how many people need to be at the dinner in order for it to feel perfect, I was so burnt out about a month or two ago that I just couldn't really wrap my head around doing another season. It just felt like too much. And everything felt like too much. Everything. The kids saying, "Mom," that felt like too much. Having another Zoom or meeting felt like too much. But most of all, taking care of myself felt like too much. And I knew the root of the burnout and the root of the exhaustion was that I was absolutely not taking care of myself. And it's interesting, this whole idea of self-care or taking care of yourself, because I thought I was doing the right things. I was going to yoga once a week and, doing Pilates once a week, trying to get nature and sun as much as possible, going on walks with my kids. But my health was kind of deteriorating, if I'm being honest. And I was showing signs of autoimmune symptoms that were absolutely coming from stress. And I felt very confused and lost, and I really wanted out. And not in the sense of going away forever, but like that I just wanted like a permanent vacation from every part of my life. I'm sure everyone's felt that way at some point, and I think it's important to talk about because I'm not really someone that wants to post stuff like that on social. I try to keep it funny, inspirational, and real, but dark and heavy is hard. I definitely am a recovering toxically positive person. I just grew up in an environment where I had to make the best of a few situations that really impacted my childhood and my well-being. And then I sort of, child of an alcoholic, codependent enmeshment, overcompensated as the firstborn daughter, really was always like, well, look at the bright side, or well, at least this didn't happen. And I'm not that person anymore. And I apologize to any friends in the past who were hurting. And I came to them in that way because I think there's just this fine line between getting real. And I think that's really what has shifted from burnout to discovery and curiosity. Why am I feeling this way? What's going on in my body? Going to the doctor for the first time in a very, very long time, like at least 3 years. And the last time I was at a doctor, I was giving birth. And it's very vulnerable to go to the doctor and, really assessing what needs to change in my life and not blaming anyone, because I can look around and go, that's annoying. This is too much. I don't know what I'm doing here. But at the end of the day, I had to take a really, really big look in the mirror and ask myself if I really felt like I was doing everything I could not to be successful, because that's the question I usually ask myself. But what are you doing to feel rested? What are you doing to calm your nervous system? And I feel like I've sort of developed this voice of when the nervous system is starting to hit into overdrive. It's like a quick stop. She's howling. Where are we? What's going on? How can we readjust without a harsh movement? Because I think sometimes with kids, I get really overwhelmed and I'm like, okay, we're done. And it's just, nobody needs to live like that. So really trying to like soften those hard edges, but then also pull away so much of this preconceived notion of what success looks like. And I just did a post the other day that I got really amazing feedback from a lot of people on. And it was just this idea that I always felt like slowing down meant stopping. And that if, success meant how much I got done in a day versus how I managed my time. And I've really come to realize that rest and quiet and slow, 3 things I've avoided most of my career and life, because most of my life has been synonymous with my and I feel this sort of inklings of rewards. Like once the universe is like, I've been banging on your door to try to tell you this, and you really wake up to it and listen to it, I feel like the universe sort of comes rushing in like, yay, you did it. You're here. Let's give you an even more beautiful contract with this client, and let's give you a better opportunity to be in nature with your kids. I just feel really lucky, but there was definitely like a 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 week period where I would just look at my mom or even my brother and just go, what's going on? I feel completely lost. And I'm not all the way out of it, but I feel like pouring myself into, and this is the wisdom I'm receiving at this moment in my life, that my work isn't just a job, and it's not just a company I own and I have to keep going. My work is the creative output of my soul. And so if I can not run myself into the ground so much that I can't be creative, if I can shift and say, let's literally put on a fire in the fireplace and watch Disney movies all day with the kids, even though it's pretty out, just to get some grounding and then go for a nice walk, I am better equipped. I have new tools to be able to be successful for the next 30 years. I think sometimes when you run yourself into the ground, you truly, when you're burnt out, you think, how I don't even want to do any of this for another day, let alone 30 more years. And so I'm just right now in the place where I can feel the turn, I can feel the shift, and it's really powerful. And I feel lucky that we're there. Taking breaks and finding stillness and all of those things have sort of opened up bolder aspirations for the future and what I want to do. And I want to become a major player in this business that I'm working on with my clients with this restaurant. We just had a meeting today with like the inspirational looks for the uniforms, and it was just so creative and so profound. And I have my hands in almost every single pot of the project, minus like construction and like full budgeting. Everything else, from the language to the feel to the people to the smell to the menu. They say when you go through stuff and you'll realize later, like, oh, that all of that is for this. And man, oh man, all of that time in Chicago working at all of those different bars and restaurants and working with, horrendous people at times, wonderful people at times, who really shaped the flexible nature, the agility of who I can be in the business world when it comes to hospitality, has allowed me to just softly join this team to create what I absolutely stand by will be the best restaurant in the city, hands down. And it won't just be for the menu and the food. It will be for so many reasons, because it has soul. For those in the back, a restaurant needs to have soul. So many do. I'm not saying they don't. I think sometimes we're quick to jump on trends or have a certain aesthetic look in our shop or our place so that it's Instagrammable. more power to you. We all got to make money, and I respect all of the game and all of the hustle. But I think for myself, what feels like is missing is just that place that you can always go to that smells like fire. Like Soho House in Chicago, just you could smell it from a block away. Like there was fire in fireplaces, and it just that immediately sort of like brings you in, and you're starting with really tickling all of the senses. And then you walk in and you're greeted by somebody in just a very sharp, well-pressed uniform who looks you straight in the eye and says, "Welcome. May I please take your coat?" And then the series of service follows. And for anybody that's ever read Unreasonable Hospitality, it's the Bible for what we're doing. And I think the idea of being unreasonable is something that we should unpack, because I'm unreasonably obsessed with the work that I do. And I'm unreasonably obsessed with my kids feeling joy and feeling alive. And I'm unreasonably obsessed with making sure that my team feels like they are the best. And I'm unreasonably obsessed with wondering how I can be better and how I can grow and how I can be better to myself. And I think so much of my life and my wild dreams and my grounding wisdom is sort of rooted in sort of being a bit unreasonable. That's what makes me who I am, and it makes a lot of people not understand me, and I'm okay with that. I'm unreasonable about details, and that's what's made things like the blank table such a success, because I was unreasonably psychotically focused on every detail, from what the candlelight will look like in the film and video and photos to the guest interactions and opportunities of the spaces that we're going to have them in. I just continue to dream a dream world of where I would like to be, experiences I would like to have that feed my soul, and I create them for others. And so my goal for next year is to both create things for other people, but really make sure that I'm taking care of myself, not only so that I'm able to do that, but so that I get to enjoy that too. It's sort of being in the PR-ish world. I think I've always been a little one foot in, one foot out, but generally that's kind of how people see the industry for what I do. And I think that like it's such a world rooted in like serving others and making sure your clients are okay and making sure your clients are happy and your clients are talked about and the press likes you. And it's never back here. It's always out this way. And sort of in a weird twist of a metaphor, I also think it's the same way with like my sort of upbringing in Christianity, and really like asking God for help and believing in God and praying to God, and not really looking back on what's going on inside here that I can take care of, that I can pray on. And I think that there is this shift from like, especially as a woman, like taking care of everyone, making sure everyone's okay. Are the clients happy? Is the staff happy? Are the kids okay? To now sort of telling myself they are. I have to just say right now, they are. And I'm turning that back around and going, but are you? And I wasn't. And I'm still not. And I'm okay. But I've got a lot of work to do this way, because I've been going this way for so goddamn long. And everyone out there is okay now. And so it's time, because I'm not, to really turn that love around, turn that energy around, turn that wisdom around, turn that wild creativity around, and ask myself, what can I do for me? What wild ideas do I have? What wild dreams do I have? What would be the best case scenario in life? What if it all works out? And so that's really such an important part of my life right now, and this next season of Wild and Wise, where we just, I get to talk to such a variety of people, in the sense that some I know very well, and you'll be able to tell, whereas others I've admired from afar for a long time and I've never talked to. So it's me immediately diving in and trying to understand more about what makes them tick. And I'm always like peeling apart my attraction to them. Like, why was I so called to this person? And, some of the podcasts are heavier because we recorded them in a time where I really was going through it, and I was trying so hard not to talk about it and to keep up the front of the positive, podcast host. But, at the end of the day, I'm not just a host. I'm a human being, and I'm having conversations with people. I'm not interviewing them. We are discussing life together, and I'm learning and growing as the multifaceted woman that I am with these guests as we talk. And so there may be some clips that come out this season that I cringe at because I can see the pain in my eyes. But then there'll be others that you can see the joy or the intrigue or the excitement over the projects that they're working on, because all I really want to do is talk to people who take things here and make them real. There are far too many people that just keep it up here, and life's too short for that. And so my hope this season is that you'll enjoy such a variety of conversations with just, gallery owners, publicists, LGBTQ advocates, and community builders. I mean, there are just stunning, incredible people this season that I'm so excited. They're all people that I'm obsessed with, that I just feel like if I could curate the coolest of the cool, it would be the next season's guest. So I hope that you really come along with me on the storytelling journey that I continue to unfold. It started with a PR firm and then turned into a creative agency and then turned into a dinner series, and now it's on a podcast. But the thread amongst all of the things that I do is storytell, that I really try to find these authentic moments for connection, and that I'm curating these experiences in a way that make people feel alive. So for me, feeling alive is feeling wild. There's that wild in me that's not the same wild as it was when I was 21 or 15 or 28. But wild to me is now wild dreams. What's the wildest dream you could have? And how can you set your sights and set your energy and take care of yourself enough to receive it when it comes? How can you make sure that you're checking in with yourself enough that when these big, beautiful, bold dreams start to float near you, that you are absolutely ready for them? And so I hope you'll join me this season. I appreciate you listening. I'm always open to feedback and questions, and I'm actively seeking to talk on more panels, moderate more panels, be amongst more creative humans to talk about these things. So if you have any ideas of speaking opportunities, panels, classrooms, I'm always looking for ways to share my experiences and to hear more about others. So thank you so much.